Hello YouTube. Well, I put Windows 98 onto this ThinkPad, and we're going to take a look at it. Not sure if I'm going to keep it on here or not. I probably will end up keeping it, because what I would like to do, ideally, is to dual boot with OS2. I did get a floppy drive in the mail, but that floppy drive was bad, so I ordered another one and got my money back for the one that I ordered, so that's going to have to be put on the back burner for now. But I did get 98 on here, at least to make it a usable vintage computer, and it seems to work, and it's been working great for that. So we'll start it up. One thing I've noticed is that on these vintage laptops, the sound card compatibility is not ideal a lot of the time. You want something, at least for DOS gaming, you want something that's at least Sound Blaster 16 compatible for it to be marginally usable. On this computer, you have to run a lot of games without sound effects, like Duke Nukem 3D. There's no sound effects. I can't get them to work. Although in certain games, Sound Blaster stuff seems to work fine. I haven't really figured that out yet. I have to play with it, play around with IRQs and things like that. But sound compatibility is not great on this. But with that in mind, this was designed to be a business machine, so I doubt it was designed to be that way in the first place. So, yeah, Windows 98 desktop right there. Of course, I installed all the IBM utilities. I have the Power Miser thing here, which is, I like this a lot. I have this on my Lenovo ThinkPad as well, and you can go in here and look at your battery information, which is really useful, especially the battery health. This will tell you how your battery's doing, and as you can see, mine needs to be reconditioned. So what I need to do is run it down, then run it back up, and run it down, and things like that. It even tells you when the battery was first used. Lenovo and IBM's utilities for batteries and things like that, and power management especially on their laptops, are just top notch. So awesome stuff. So the utilities are all there. I don't have every piece of hardware working yet. I don't have the Ethernet card working, but I don't really need to get it working in the first place. I'll just show you what's in this machine. For graphics, it has an S3 Graphics Super Savage adapter, which is quite old at this point. You don't see S3 graphics at all anymore. Not much else of note in the device manager, really, other than the Ethernet controller and the PCI system management bus, all this stuff not being installed. I'll go down to sound. It's Crystal Audio. It's Crystal WDM audio codec. So it's nothing really all that special. With that in mind, I'll show you what the deal is with Midi support on this computer, and why it's not the greatest when using DOS software and other things. All you get is the Microsoft Wavetable synthesis, which frankly is total crap. You want something like Sound Blaster 16 or Sound Blaster AWE32 sort of sound. Even ad-lib sound is good for these older games. But this has no ad-lib emulation. It has some sort of bizarrely working Sound Blaster emulation that I can't figure out. But even so, the performance is not good when it does work. So it's not exactly the best. I'll demonstrate how Midi sounds with a few DOS games, actually. I took my DOS games folder and stuck it on here just to experiment with this machine, and I don't think I'll be keeping the DOS games folder on here, because this computer is just not good at all for that, because of the sound hardware that's in this machine. It's good for CD-ROM games, but it's not good for DOS games. It's much better to just use a more modern computer with DOSBox on it for DOS games, in my opinion. I mean, I've had better luck with it. Even computers that are from like 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, put DOSBox on them and they'll, with Windows XP or whatever, and then play your DOS games, and it works so much better. Let me find a good example of that. There are certain games that do work, like Doom. I did manage to get to work because everything was supported. I used General Midi for the audio, or for the music, and I used whatever was default for the sound effects. I think it was Sound Blaster. But Doom works great. But the MIDI is terrible, as you can hear. Yeah, Doom works really well. But this game's playable. This might be the only game I leave on here. I might get Doom 2 and put it on here as well. Let's shoot some stuff before I... So yeah, Doom seems to work great, but that's really it. A lot of the other games just don't seem to work the way they should, like Duke 3D. It works, but but you have to turn the sound effects off. At least that's what I had to do to get it to run. I couldn't figure out how to get the Sound Blaster stuff to work for the sound effects, so that's a shame. I mean, it'll play, but you get no sound effects, which in Duke Nukem really sucks, because Duke is normally hilarious. And hearing the one-liners and all the "oh" sounds and the shooting and the dying and everything is just like part of the game. So you basically lose half the game, which sucks. And you don't get to hear Duke talk like this until you're waiting for Christmas. So that kind of sucks. Epic Pinball works, sorta. It's kind of choppy. The gameplay's a little bit choppy, which is surprising on a frickin' Pentium 3. It shouldn't be, but it is. The MIDI sounds okay though. It sounds normal, like it should. It's a little choppy here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. But if you watch the ball motion, it's a little bit choppy. No. It's a little choppy there. It's just like a tad, I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but it's a tad choppy. So DOS gaming on here is not great. Where's an example? Where's another example? Wolfenstein 3D, where the sound effects work. Yeah, it detects the Sound Blaster stuff, but all the music in Wolfenstein 3D uses ad-lib, and there is no ad-lib in this, so the menus normally make noise and music, but it doesn't seem to work. But sound effects do work. So you can open doors and shoot Nazis and everything like you normally would. Just no music in the menus. I don't know if you saw that lag there. That was a little bit weird. See, performance of DOS games just doesn't seem to be all that great. I don't know if you can perceive that, but the Sound Blaster emulation itself kind of goes it has a little bit of tremolo to it. See, that just didn't sound right. When the Sound Blaster emulation does work, it sounds terrible. So it's kind of a trade-off. Laptops like this just suck for DOS games. needs better sound emulation. Where's a dog? I want to shoot a dog in the face. See, there's some lag there. It lagged while it... Whoops. Yeah, it's just crappy performance as far as sound goes. So DOS gaming's... I've belabored this point enough. The DOS gaming's a no on this machine. So, yeah. There are certain games, though, that work fine, like Outrun, because all it uses is the PC speaker, and that's really it. But then there are games... The CD-ROM games seem to work great. For example, 3D Ultra Pinball. Fuzzball. Alright, let's get to the menu here. There's more terrible MIDI sound. God, that's awful. I'm telling you, man, real sound cards beat these wavetable pieces of crap built into Windows any day of the week. Let's play a little pinball just for fun. Let's show you my favorite level. Command post.
Command post table up and running.
Oh god.
Back alley lanes to initiate
The MIDI doesn't sound right at all.
Good luck.
Yeah, that MIDI doesn't sound right at all. Like it should. It's supposed to be like a sci-fi type of sound, but it's not. But you can still play the game and it'll work. As long as you don't do that. This is one of the best levels in the game. There are only 3, but, you know, this game's a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm not having a good run. But yeah, the CD-ROM games work fine. Absolutely fine. So there you go. So, gaming on a laptop like this... DOS gaming is not great. CD-ROM gaming is perfectly fine, though. You can take a bunch of these old games and stick them on there. You could play, like, you know, the original Diablo, or Warcraft 2, or even the old edutainment CD-ROM games is an option. You can see I have Math Blaster on there. I plan to do a video on that at some point, which is why it's on there. It's nothing I'd play anymore, but I played the hell out of it when I was a kid. So, eventually I'll get around to doing a video on that. So, for vintage gaming, it's more CD-ROM games that work better. Things like Pitfall, The Mayan Adventure, for example, would work great on here. I've played it on here and it works wonderfully. The other thing I'm going to use this for is just vintage software in general. I've installed After Dark 10th Anniversary. So... I shall show you that. Because some of the screensavers are quite amusing. Where's Flying Toasters? Oh, here's a good one. Flying Toilets. Remember when software had a sense of humor? This sounds like an idea that was just floating around the office one day. It really does. I mean, that's just so entertaining. Flying Toasters. I think this is the original one. Where's the original Flying Toasters? There was like... Oh god. See, there's screensavers like this that are kind of CPU dependent, so they run way too fast on hardware like this. What else do we have? Well, I think one of the best examples of that is Moen Man. Watch this. So you don't even see him. You just see the grass disappear. I mean, really. What else do they have here? Oh yeah, another one that's CP dependent. The fish one. Oh my god, fish everywhere. Look at that. And then there are ones that still work okay, like Bad Dog, for example. Bad Dog will work at the normal speed on just about any computer I try it on. This is the classic one where the dog just kind of tears up your desktop. He broke the vase, man. Well, he will break it. Or knock it over. Or whatever he does. Here he goes. Yep. Bonk. Yeah, that's what dogs do. They make a mess. Here's one of my favorites. This one is just hysterical to watch. I don't know who thought of this at Sierra, but they really did have a very bizarre sense of humor. A sense of humor I like. It's called Bungee Roulette. Oh no! That screensaver's a hoot, man. Fish World. Do I want to know? Oh, this is just a slower fish screensaver. That's fine. Okay, so vintage software is very, very good on this machine. Just not vintage. Some software is just a little too vintage for it, if that makes sense. I also put Microsoft Word or Office 2000 on this machine, so I can do homework and stuff on here if I ever felt like it, or if if one of my other laptops decides to kick the bucket, I can just use this one. You bastard, you haunted my childhood. I'm watching you. I'm watching you, Clippy. You manipulative little piece of bended metal. Anyway, it types characters, and I can do homework and stuff on here because it works and things and stuff and junk. Yay. When the key rollover gets to its limit, it beeps at you. So, there you go. Microsoft Office 2000. That's cute, buddy, but this isn't glass. And good riddance, you prick. I love making fun of that stupid paperclip. Anyway, that is Windows 98 running on this ThinkPad. It seems to do pretty well with the CD-ROM based software and just, software of not Windows 98's era, not anything really DOS related. I think for that you really should be using a desktop, like a 386, 486, even a 286. Maybe even an early Pentium for things like that, for DOS gaming and things like that. Even my Pentium 3 machine downstairs is good for that because it's got ISA slots, so I can use an old sound card and get DOS games running on Windows even. So you get more hardware versatility that way. With a laptop like this, you don't. I figure if you get a laptop that was designed for 98 from back in the day, it would probably have some pretty decent Sound Blaster 16 compatibility compared to this one, which just has the Cirrus Logic audio chipset, which doesn't give you really any MIDI support. So it uses the software MIDI built into Windows, which is frankly terrible. So there you have it. So, that is the ThinkPad running 98 and doing some vintage things. I'm sure I'll be doing some CD-ROM game demonstrations with it in the future. So, there you have it, guys. Let's shut her down. And there you have it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good one, everybody. Ciao.